turnkey home and office remodeling. Call them for free estimates. Serving all of South Florida. Licensed and insured. Call Ray or Mike, 305-345-3649. You work hard to create the perfect atmosphere. You dream it, we'll build it. RM Contractors and Custom Drywall, 305-345-3649. Or Instagram at RMC Fisher Island.
There's just one place to get our lowest payment on the new 2024 Acura ZDX, $299 a month. It's the Season of Performance event at Acura of Pembroke Pines, #1 in the USA.
All right, we are live. It is the AEW Dynamite recap. They have gone off the air a little bit ago. Sorry, I had to restart the computer. I hit that start button and it said, nope, not tonight. So it restarted and now we are here live. I am your host, Sean Stanley. Of course, you can catch us the Squared Circle Digest every Tuesday, myself and Frankie Fresco. And you can get myself after each of the big shows, Raw, Dynamite, SmackDown. Actually, Collision is tomorrow night. So we might end up being on tomorrow night as well to talk Collision, depending on how that goes. But that's in already. No doubt's in already. You're watching us on X, on Twitch, on the Facebook, Stanley Media House Facebook page. Please go to Facebook, join the page, on Instagram. Check out the broadcast channel, Stanley Media House. So overall, tonight, it was a good Dynamite. I mean, when you looked at everything continuing, again, I am big on, I know a lot of AEW is their fans like the big matches. I'm big on the entertainment, the storylines, and watching that progress. And tonight, they progressed. Right? You started off with Kenny Omega and Brian Cage, and they had a great match, and then you end up extending the storyline of Will Ospreay and Kenny Omega. Ultimately, I believe the end result's going to be, of course, taking on Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher. But the one thing that I don't like about that is you're feeding Brian Cage and Lance Archer, two guys you could make a monster tag team. And they're being just fed to bolster up. I've never understood that part with AEW as far as having Lance Archer and Brian Cage there and not doing more with them. And again, I don't know any of the behind the scenes or anything like that, but to me, it feels like those are two guys that could be up there for like a monster push, and they just never really, they'll give them a monster push, but it's really just to set up to be fed to another star in there. And that's the one thing that I feel like Brian Cage and Lance Archer in the tag team division could be something. You know what I'm saying? So I don't necessarily, again, not right or wrong. That's just my preference, okay? So to me, I feel like why feed Cage and Archer to, because ultimately I think what you're going to end up getting soon is going to be a tag team match, which will be Archer and Cage taking on Ospreay and Omega, and it'll be the first time that Omega and Ospreay team up, and they're going to ultimately feed them to ultimately get to the end result of Fletcher and Takeshita against Omega and Ospreay. And I think that might actually maybe Grand Slam Australia. I don't know that card, and we're going to no doubt talk about it a little bit on his chat. If you got any questions, comments, throw them in there on the chats wherever you're at, wherever you're watching. If you're watching later on the podcast, appreciate you. Please just throw in the comments, likes, dislikes, all of that. But overall, started off great. And then it went to the trios match, which, I mean, the Hurt Business just kind of just beat down. I mean, I kind of like the way that they allowed the Hurt Business to just run through Briscoe and Private Party. Only concern there is they are your tag team champions. And it looked real easy, real simple, fantastic to see Montel Vontavious Porter, MVP, back in the ring after 2.5 years off. And he looked rejuvenated. He looked Antonio Bankish. And some people might get that, some people will not. But I enjoyed, he did the ball in, you got all this stuff. Hopefully he's back in the ring more often, periodically, and we get to see a little bit more of the Montel Vontavious Porter. No Doubt said, heavyweights mean nothing in AEW. They aren't the only ones. AEW would have missed Undertaker. But see, this is the thing. Like, AEW uses heavyweights how Vince misused cruiserweights back in the day. Or even recently. I mean, he didn't use all of Vince didn't use the smaller guys well. And of course, Tony, to me, has an issue using the larger guys. I was happy to see Will Hobbs get on, in there tonight and kind of get a little bit of a push and a rub with Moxley. But it was just, Terry Davis got it. I know you did, buddy. I know you did. The bomb, baby. So, it is one of those things to where I guess you can say that, Tony's got his issues with how to use the bigger athletes. But so far, they've not missed on Lashley. Lashley has looked like a monster. So, and again, I don't know who all has, the hands on in that cookie jar. So we'll see how it keeps going. But right now, especially with the way the Hurt Syndicate was used tonight in that trios match, brother, I mean, they went through the tag team champions and the former Ring of Honor champion like they were a hot knife through butter. And they got an easy win. And I liked it. I liked the way that they did that match. Again, my only concern is they pinned your tag team champions. I think I would have had them pin Mark Briscoe and not your tag team champion as quickly as, that match went. Overall, you had the ladies gauntlet match, which I was talking with Frankie last night, and I said, I don't know how they're going to do it, but I got to believe with Toni Storm, when she was Timeless Toni Storm, doing all the media in Australia to promote and set up Grand Slam Australia. It's her hometown, home turf. Somehow she's got to win this. And No Doubt says, Toni Storm wins the gauntlet. What an upset, LOL. Like we all forgot she wasn't just champ for quite a while. But the interesting thing with that, No Doubt, is the fact that they're playing it up where, she got beat down so bad, she had her, whatever, and she thinks she's a rookie again. I mean, you saw her show up. She comes in with her bag. She's shaking everybody's hand, introducing herself as a rookie and everything else. I'm wondering how this is going to play out at Grand Slam Australia is, does something happen with Mariah May where she attacks Toni Storm? Toni Storm somehow, whatever you want, however, I'm thinking movie-wise, falls, hits her head, and then somehow she realizes, oh, wait, I'm Timeless Toni Storm, and this is Mariah May, the lady who betrayed me, and that is what we get at Grand Slam. Because I feel like Toni Storm's going to win the title back in Australia. So how do they do it? Do they give it to the rookie? The young upstart Toni Storm wins it? Or does she become Timeless Toni Storm? So that is going to be an interesting part to see where they go. Because again, everybody that's, been on here and has watched, I mean, the Timeless Toni Storm, Mariah May thing has been going forever. And I like it. I like the fact, again, I don't mind the storylines. I prefer the storylines. And I'm probably in a minority especially on the AEW side. They want the great matches and, the supposedly once in a lifetime matches. The problem with that philosophy is once you see it, what next? Like X for tonight, you had Ricochet come out and cut the promo, and he does all the stuff talking about Swerve, and then Swerve's music hits. Nana comes from back, hits him with the chair. Swerve comes out with a chain. Ricochet runs away out the building, and then all of a sudden it's booked for 3 weeks in Atlanta, February 5th. Ricochet versus Swerve on a Dynamite. And this is the one thing I've always felt they miss on is like, why isn't that on? They should build that up to a pay-per-view. On a Dynamite, he stabbed the guy in the head with a pair of scissors. He's bringing a chain out to whoop his ass. And we're going to give you 15, 20 minutes on Dynamite. No, that needs to be built into the pay-per-view. And AEW, they deliver on the pay-per-view because they do have those matches. You get your once-in-a-lifetime matches, but also you can build up to get a beautiful ending of Swerve and Ricochet and then move it along. I personally think on this Dynamite, it's setting up to be, and I think that's when Ricochet joins the Hurt Syndicate. I can't see you putting Swerve Strickland, Ricochet, after what they did, or Ricochet did to Swerve, and that match, the feud's going to blow off at Dynamite? I hope not. That's all I'll say. I hope not. Then you had, of course, the women's Gauntlet match, which we just discussed there. And then the order was kind of weird because, again, remember, the men just did it last week. They had 11 contestants. Tonight, the women do it. They have 5. And then Toni Storm, actually 6. I'm sorry. Toni Storm was 5. Willow Nightingale was 5. Toni Storm was 6. And then Toni Storm ended up rolling up Julia Hart and getting the victory after Julia Hart threw the mist in the eyes of it was Harley Cameron. So it's going to be very interesting. Again, you got a while before you get to when is the Grand Slam, AEW Grand Slam? I want to say it's the beginning of February. AEW Grand Slam Australia is, Saturday, February 15th. So Valentine's Day weekend. Like, to me, that would be, remember, when Mariah May took out Toni Storm, she hit her with the heel and did all that stuff, wiped the blood on herself. That is the perfect way for this match to end on Valentine's Day weekend. A bloody mess with Toni Storm holding the title and wiping the blood of Mariah May on her to get back at what Mariah May did to her. Sorry, I got a couple of texts coming in, just trying to finish up something I was working on. So you had Kenny Omega again, you had Hurt Syndicate. It was you had the Jeff Jarrett MJF. And this is the one thing here is I'm all for, I want to see where this is going, right? Because you had MJF come out last week and say, you only signed a 1-year contract because that's all pro wrestling thinks you have left, 1 year. Then this week comes out and Double J says, I was you before you were you. And then he starts cutting down on, his girlfriend and everything else. Then Double J starts talking about Karen Jarrett. And then he starts talking about Owen. And then Double J snaps and starts going after him. So my only question is, and they kind of wiggled it in a little bit where MJF was like, or the commentary was like, this is MJF's easiest route to the world title. He helps Double J win it, and then he takes on Double J. Only problem with that is Moxley being the champion. Double J's the one that's going to be the savior of AEW and beat the Death Riders so that the title goes ultimately to MJF. I don't know where they're going with this. And then also it's like, okay, so Double J says I've got 1 year left, and his feud is with MJF. MJF's going to lose to Double J so Double J can get to that thing? Or does MJF just end it and take out Double J before he can get to the title shot? When you look at how the angle could go, I mean, ultimately, I got to feel like if you're doing it this route, Double J gets a shot at the title. But now with the way this is going, it looks like it's going to be MJF versus Double J. And Double J beats MJF? I mean, if they book it as a, street fight or last man standing or something like that, maybe then you could, throw some shenanigans in there and make that happen. But I don't know where this whole thing is heading when you take a look at everything as a whole in AEW and then try to figure out where Double J fits in. So it's going to be very interesting. And they went at each other. They went at each other with a lot of personal shots. And I'll just leave it at that. If you want to see it, I'm sure it's up on social medias. You can go here. Double J make fun of MJF's girl, and you can listen to MJF throw shots at Karen Jarrett as well. Christian Cage took on Hook, and I really want this to be over. I really want this to be over, Hook and Cage. And now it's going to be extended more now because as they're beating down Hook, Samoa Joe returns, man. I'm happy to see Samoa Joe back. So, but now they're going to end up taking on Christian Cage, who also, again, linking everything back together in the scope of AEW, he has that contract where he gets a title shot whenever he wants. So he's still in the picture too. And No Doubt says MJF is going to get hit with that guitar somewhere. Oh, it's a given. It's a given. But I also feel like with what he did tonight by grabbing Karen and throwing it, I think Double J is going to swing the guitar and hit Karen Jarrett. And then there's going to be more of a storyline going that way. So, but I just want Christian Cage and Hook kind of to be over. Again, Taz back on commentary tonight after he had his knee replacements. So that was good to see. It looked like he was going to get involved in the match, and then Samoa Joe's music hits, came out and made the save. And then, of course, we get all of the shenanigans. Ultimately, it's the three, Hook, Shibata, and Samoa Joe standing in the ring staring at Nick Wayne, Kip Sabian, and Christian Cage, along with Mama Wayne. So we'll see where that goes. And then we had Jon Moxley and Hobbs. And I was happy to see Hobbs get this opportunity, man. I feel like Hobbs has got the look. He's pretty good on the mic. And there was times in this match where I know he got a little bit behind. Moxley was kind of, getting him along and getting him in the right positions and things like that. So he's still got a little bit to go. But I believe Moxley gave him so much to make him look like a star tonight. I mean, it was Moxley's earring getting ripped out. It was the blood pouring out of his ear. It was, Hobbs controlled a lot of the match. Then, Moxley would cut him off here and there. And then the power of the big guy, Powerhouse Hobbs, would take back over and then, take back in a little bit of the match. Then it's cheating. It's Claudio. It's Yuta. It's Marina. It's Pac. It's all of that to help beat Powerhouse Hobbs. And in the end, it took all of them. It took a running knee from Wheeler Yuta outside the ring. It was the DDT. He kicks out of that. He takes the briefcase to the head. And then ultimately he kicks out, and then he gets choked out. Never taps out. He gets choked out, passes out. They call for the bell. Then after, of course, they start beating him down. And this is one of the things I find interesting with pro wrestling. So you've got Hobbs getting beat on by 4 guys. 4 guys. They sit there, they tear off the brace on his leg. They put a chair over his knee. They line it up. They look around. They stomp on the chair. And then once they stomp on the chair, they play rated FTR's music. Down comes Cope. Down comes FTR. You couldn't have made the run out a little bit quicker so the man didn't get his knee taken out? Like, I don't... It's like, we got to wait for our music. No, you don't play the music. We don't go out. No, play the music. And then the stomp, and then the music hits, and there they come. Here they come to save the day. The damage is already done, my friend. So, again, I asked this last night. I ask it a lot on the thing is, I will sit here and I will watch it and I'll see where the storyline goes. But again, it started taking out Bryan Danielson, and they showed the young guys of AEW. Daniel Garcia, Orange Cassidy, Darby Allin. It looked like it was going to be those 3 kind of being the targets. Then it branched into just Orange Cassidy, and then Jay White and Hangman Page got into it, into the whole angle. Then you had Darby Allin almost, wreck a car. I thought maybe he would get back into it, but then the Continental Classic, he was losing to Claudio and everything else there. And then now he's going to climb Mount Everest. And I know they put the liquid in Orange Cassidy, and he's been out for a while. But then at World's End, you have that 4-way match, and it really felt that it was just done to get to Edge, Adam Copeland, Cope, Rated R Superstar, whatever you want to call him, to come out with FTR. And then since then, that's been sort of the title picture. So it just feels like there was never a set in stone idea of what to do with the Death Riders. And I feel now that's the issue, to where it's like, okay, let's go with Rated FTR because they just came back. But then you've got Rated FTR taking on the Learning Tree and Collision and all this stuff. And then now you've got the 6-man coming up, or actually a 12-man tag, actually. It's Rated FTR and, who is it? Powerhouse Hobbs. And, I forgot who the other 2 are. But they're basically taking on the Learning Tree and the Death Riders tomorrow night. I believe it's tomorrow night. It just feels like there's not a concentrated effort on what the picture's supposed to be. We're just going to figure it out as it's going. And that's where I feel like sometimes this is where, again, depending on what your taste for wrestling is, this is where some can look at AEW and be like, it doesn't hold me there, because it's all over the place. It is all over the place. You can't follow along, and it becomes a little disorienting as far as watching it, you know. Again, you're going to get great matches. The inside the ropes, you know, all that, the promos, all that, fantastic. Problem is making it entertaining for episodic TV. They don't do that well. They do not do that as well. It's gotten better. It has gotten better. And again, tonight I thought was in the right direction, continuing it, except for that main event. Again, I just don't know what the whole picture is. That's the thing. It's just all over the place as far as who is your true contender. I get the idea of you have so many people going after the title, but I mean, I don't see Moxley or anybody losing the title to anybody that you put up there until Cope came along. So we'll see where they go. Overall, again, Dynamite, a real good show. Check it out. It'll probably be streaming on Max, or if you did a DVR it, I'd recommend watching it. You know, again, get through the commercials and things like that. I thought overall the action inside the rings, very good. Don't forget, follow me on X at StanleyMedia_11. You can follow me on Instagram at Stanley Media House, on Threads at Stanley Media House, and also on TikTok for the next couple of days at Stanley Media House. And then, of course, the Facebook page, Stanley Media House Network. The YouTube channel is Stanley Media House Network. Go ahead and hit that notification, hit the subscribe, hit the like. We'll be talking more South Florida sports. Also, starting in February, we will have the coverage from NASCAR picking up, hoping to be in Daytona for the Daytona 500 in the middle of the month. Waiting for some word on that. So, I thank each and every one of you that tuned in after Dynamite to hear my thoughts. I look forward to hearing your thoughts. Please send them in. If you're listening to this podcast after, this has been a live show right here. It has been a great Wednesday night. Thank you for being along. In the words of the great Gordon Soley, so long from the Sunshine State.